good afternoon to one and all. You people must have seen me doing all kind of activities other than the academics. I mean, you must have seen me doing taking care of all kind of cultural activities in last 1 month from the time you guys have joined ITTM. So today I have taken a topic which is quite close to me, and I feel that as an tourism student, as a not only as a tourism student, rather as a responsible citizen, we all should really understand the perspectives where what we have with us. See, India is a land of great culture. We have ample of heritage with us. We have ample of culture with us. We have a number of built heritage, tangible, intangible, natural, everything is with us. The only thing is we forget to praise it, we forget to embrace it. If you could see, when we move out of our country and when we move to different country or when we visit different country, we just praise them a lot. Oh wow, so beautiful, how intact they've kept it, how nicely they've kept it. But we forget that even we need to keep it as intact and as safe as possible. So today I had taken this particular topic for the reason to understand or to make you guys a little more closer to the culture and heritage of our country. It is going to be very general talk, it is going to be very general discussion today. The first step, the basic step to understand the heritage, understand that is what is your role in heritage, what is your role as a heritage savior, as a heritage preserver. um, from the time I think all of us have realized the worldly things. I mean, the world. We have understood that Taj Mahal is a heritage, Qutub Minar is a heritage, or maybe Humayun's tomb is a heritage, Bibi Ka Maqbara is a heritage, Mamlapuram caves are heritage. We have seen these things as an heritage, but heritage is more than that. Heritage is vast than that. And today's topic is basically to understand that particular point, that what is heritage and how you can be a responsible citizen in preserving that heritage. Without wasting time, I'm going to share my screen here. And then I'll keep talking while there's some network issue today with my system. Just give a few seconds. Yeah. Is my screen visible to you people?
Yes,
I'm not now, but maybe like in a second we'll be able to see.
There's some network issue actually, so there is some issues going on.
Yes, ma'am, visible now.
Visible, the PPT is visible. I hope it is visible.
Yes, ma'am, it is visible.
Thank you. This, Ranu, is it your system which is creating that noise?
You must be like knowing the sound, huh? It's my system. I'll mute
Yeah,
myself again.
that's what I asked you. Is it your system which is creating the
It's a very
noise?
familiar sound. You must be recognizing it.
Yes.
I'll mute myself again, ma'am, please.
No issues. Just bear with me. Once it will start, then I'm sure it will not create any problem. There's some issue with it. I don't know. And why? But it starts. Let me just speak. See, today's topic which I have chosen was basically understanding heritage and its prescriptive. And I tried to rather make it as Jago. Jago, for the reason I had given this title as Jago. Let me again try sharing it once more. Jago, for the reason that I thought that, as a responsible citizen, we all should come out with the understanding the heritage from this perspective of waking up, awakening our own selves, and then moving ahead in preserving this particular or cherish the particular culture and heritage which we have in our country. So that is why I had given this particular topic or particular discussion name as Jago. Unfortunately, the system has is making the is creating the problem, and I'm trying to work it on.
Ma'am, are you here? Kamakshi ma'am?
Ranu, I'm here only. Actually, वो system में कुछ issue आ रहा है, so I'm just trying to connect to another system actually. There is some issue with the system. I don't know. Since last 2 hours, I'm working with the same system and it did not encounter any problem. So maybe the students are quite lucky enough कि ये problem कर रहा है. Just give me minutes.
Sure, ma'am. Take your time, ma'am, please.
My screen visible to you people? Visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank God. Fine. So without wasting much time, as I said that I actually gave this particular discussion name called Jago. Jago for the reason that as a citizen of our country, as a citizen of India, we have certain rights, we have certain responsibilities and duties towards our heritage. What we forget, where as a tourist also, or as a as a tourist, when we go to the particular site, or when we visit particular destination, when we visit particular monument, we see what we could actually see from from our open eyes, but we forget to understand the responsibilities and duties what we have towards this particular topic. So once we understand it, maybe you will just, for example, I have fallen in love with the term called heritage and culture. That is only after I understood that as a person, what is my responsibility towards this particular treasure, hidden treasure of our country. So Jago, for the reason, maybe you will understand and you will get back, you will, a few of you get awaked, and maybe you guys move ahead with the same concept. So Jago, heritage, it's known, or which is a number of times we listen this particular word heritage, and listening to this particular word, what comes in my mind? uh, Tangible heritage, or maybe something what we can see. As you could see in this particular slide, there are a few pictures I have mentioned. If there's a monument, there is a tiger, there is a landscape from Kerala, the dance form, all the dance from Kerala, the safari, the camel safari. There are a few pictures which has been put here. Our heritage, as we say. What is our heritage? Basically, when we talk about heritage, there is much to understand, there is much to cherish, but we lie down or we land up only at one particular point where we talk about monuments or visiting a building or visiting a, a fort, or visiting a museum, or visiting a palace. So this is beyond, the heritage is beyond all these things. As we can see here, I say heritage is my story, heritage is your story. Story in the sense, everything which has come to us as in legacy, everything which has come to us from our ancestors, everything which has come to us from our great grandparents, or from our forerunners, everything comes under heritage. Sometimes it even it is like, Diwali is coming up, there must be some particular food item, some particular cuisine which is being cooked every year, right from years and years at your home, which is not cooked in somebody else's place. So that particular dish is also a heritage. We sometimes doesn't call it as an heritage. In many houses, we could see during Diwali, which is worshipped, and in some houses there are the normal god and goddesses which are worshipped. So everything is a heritage. But we at your house can be a legacy at my house, can be yours, can be mine, can be ours. I'll just give a small example. I hail from Rajasthan, from Jaisalmer, and we have an ancestors house there, which is all about around 300 years old now, because it was built by my my father's great grandparents. So it is still kept as it is. We do not have more, we haven't modernized it. We visit every year, we try to embrace it, we try to cherish it, we try to stay there for a few days in the same way as it was. So that is what is heritage. Heritage does not only means Taj Mahal, Humayun's tomb, Qutub complex. It is more about it. We cannot recognize it, we cannot bind it. There is no bondation towards heritage, and there is no certification towards heritage. Yes, Taj Mahal is heritage, yes, Humayun's tomb is heritage, Gwalior Fort is heritage, Amer Fort is heritage, but these all are national heritages. But it does not mean that your house and or my house does not have heritage. Both of our houses or homes have heritage. The stories which are being told by your your grandparents. Certain times we sit with our grandparents and they speak about their time, they speak about their way of living, their way of food. That is also called heritage. So here I just mean to say that never bind heritage with any one particular um, uh, object, never bind it with any building, never bind it with boundaries. You can move ahead, and it can be more than what we think, it can be beyond our imaginations. Now, moving ahead, in very a quick note, heritage is what you inherit or I inherit from our ancestors. So yes, we have inherited a number of monuments, a number of forts, palaces, mosques, number of things from an ancestors that where we actually put into an heritage. It is an asset, can be natural, can be cultural, can be tangible, can be intangible, anything. I mean, even a small piece of ornament which your mother has, which is being given by your grandmother has got gifted it from the great and heritage. That piece of ornament is a asset, is an intangible asset, or is intangible asset. Intangible because of the emotions, because of the values it has. Tangible because we see it. The difference between intangible and tangible is it's quite simple. Tangible is what you see. In intangible, what you could not see, you can just feel. So certain at times emotions in a manner is or values, or artistic values attached to a uh, particular object also make it an important heritage. Now, the valuable history and memories. The valuable histories and memories in the sense, there are many tales, folk tales, folklores, folk songs, folk dances, which have their own values, which have their own beliefs, which we forget to cherish, which we forget to understand. Every single, every single community has their own folk tales, has their own folklores. Say, for example, the other day I was talking to one of my colleague who seems to be, from Sindhi community, and he said, "Ma'am, aapko pata hai, at our place, whenever we have a marriage procession, there are galis. There are, galis which is being given to the other family." So I said, yes, I know, because even we have the same concept, we have the same story. So that is again, but the way they sing it, the way we sing it is different. The way Punjabi have their own folklores or their own folk songs is different. The way the Maharashtrians have it different, but everybody has it. Everybody has a memory. Everybody has the way. You could see few pictures here. There are, the folklores are depicted, the monuments are depicted. Then we do have this, the dance form which is being depicted, the graffiti which is being depicted. Everything consists of heritage. Everything has a certain value to it. Everything has a certain memory to it. This is asset to us. So let us not limit to buildings. Let us not limit to architecture. Let us not limit to only and only the tangible side of heritage. Let us cherish all forms of heritage, because when you combine all form of heritage, a building, a monument, a temple, a mosque, is heritage because of the aesthetic value attached to it, not only because of the architecture, not only because of the reason it is so. Taj Mahal is seven wonders of world, of course, because of the beautiful architecture. But when people come to see Taj Mahal, more than the architecture, they are interested in the value attached to it. So when we talk about heritage, even a tangible heritage is backed up by intangible heritage. And what we as a citizen, what we as a tourism student need to understand is that every single monument has a story behind it, has a folklore behind it. What is that folklore? That you need to know. Why this particular monument is so significant that it is termed as an heritage of our country. That is where we should land up. That is where we should, that is what we should understand. So when we talk about heritage, all form of heritage needs to be adopted, needs to be promoted, needs to be protected, of course. We lie on government that government do it. Why only government do it? It is your duty to do it. It is my duty to do it. We of course cannot protect it, but we can adopt it, we can promote it, we can understand the significant value on it, and then adding on to its significant value will automatically protect it or will automatically promote it. Now, in a simple chart, if I talk about heritage, heritage is broadly classified into two forms, natural and cultural. When I move on to natural heritage, you could see here the rock formations, the mountains, the plains, the plateaus, the water bodies like rivers, lakes, seas, everything. Whether it is about the beaches, the oldest beach of our country, the Marina Beach, or the longest beach of the country, Marina Beach, or the Juhu Beach, or we talk about the Gangas, any Narmada, any water body. Ecosystem, flora, fauna, anything. National parks, your wildlife parks, your national parks, everything comes under the natural form of heritage. Apart from this, the rock formation, the rock cut architecture, everything's come under heritage. The paintings at Bhimbetka, which is nearby Bhopal, is again the natural, anything which you have actually derived from the natural form is part of your natural heritage. When we talk about cultural heritage, further we divide this into two things. The first is tangible, where we have the major form of heritage, which is seen by us, many of us, and generally cherished and generally, embraced by all of us. That is the architectural heritage, where we talk about monuments, where we talk about buildings associated to historical characters. We talk about vernacular architectures of each state, region, dynasties. The second is the material heritage, which we overlook, or which generally we does not see. That is your objects, your paintings, manuscripts, textiles, books, everything, where which has an artistic value attached to it, or without which all form of heritage in architectural manner is actually useless. So we forget to see that particular side. So material heritage. And the second important form is the intangible or living heritage. Art, music, dance, folklores, dramas, traditional medicines, Ayurveda, your Ayurveda, the histories, the legends, everything, the stories, the folklore, everything's come under your intangible heritage. So until unless you do not combine both tangible and intangible living, you cannot actually come out as an relishing the heritage. Every fort has a story. The moment you enter a fort, you have a guide. Your guide will start with a story. Once lived this dynasty here, this was the emperor here, he had these many ranis. So he actually is going to build up a story to act, to narrate that particular monument to you. And that is why we really need to understand that cherishing the intangible side of heritage is as significant as cherishing the tangible side of an heritage. Natural objects and intangible attributes like flora, fauna, scientifically known as biodiversity, geology, and landforms. So we do have, there is a new form of heritage, very recent come up, that is called geoheritage, which is becoming really active these days. And there are geologists who are working on the geoheritage sites of India. Moving on to the next is your criteria. Now, it is very important to understand why a particular river, why a particular vegetation, why a particular monument is actually a heritage. You cannot call every river, every wetland, every pond a heritage. Similarly, you cannot call every vegetation a heritage, every national park a heritage. So there are certain, criteria which has been fixed by UNESCO, which is a world-known organization for keeping the heritage. Say, for example, the areas that have the ecological and biological significances, like the breeding and nesting sites, the habitat of endangered species, the unique geographical rock formations, wetlands, marshes, these all are the areas which have significant values. And if at all they have the significant values, natural habitat, then they will be called up, or they will come under the point of view of a natural heritage. So these are a few pictures where you could see that yes, our land is full of natural heritage. You could see in this map that we are more of natural heritage. And apart from natural heritage, natural in all form, we have the desert also. We have the Thar desert, we have the Ganga, the river, Himalayas, the mountains, from every point of view. We have the green cider also. So from every point, we are blessed with the natural heritage, which has a significant value. Like, for example, if I talk about Ganga, if I talk about Himalayas, they all have the Nilgiris, they all have the artistic value attached to it. People worship Ganga in whichever form it is and in whichever state it is. Right from the point of incarnation, right from the day of incarnation till today, Ganga is being worshipped in different festivals by different people in different manner. So the artistic value is attached to it. People they cherish it. So similarly, Himalayas, whether it is Himalaya, whether it is Ganga, or whether it is, you could see here there is a Kerala, the Onam festival is being celebrated. So everywhere the natural Onam, Pongal, Baisakhi, all these are celebrated for the good vegetation. So again, that is because of the heritage. So this is where we talk about natural heritage. The next is the built heritage, which is very important. Any building having the characteristic of historic, socio-cultural value, striking architectural and artistic significance in respect of its design, construction, and material is a built heritage. Built heritage ke liye, yes, UNESCO have said that for any kind of heritage, if it is supposed to be under the built heritage, then it should have all these things. Apart from that, it should be at least 150 years old building or a monument of national importance or of significance. So, you know, there might be a temple in your colony or in your locality which must be 150 years old, but it might not be important from the architectural point of view, or from the construction point of view, or from the significant value point of view. And that is why we cannot call it call that particular monument as an heritage, but a particular temple as an heritage. Now here, what is more important to understand is, when we talk about built heritage, there are two forms of heritage. The one is protected and the another is unprotected. Protected monuments or protected built heritage as that particular form of built heritage, which is under either ASI, that is Archaeological Survey of India, or under state archaeology, or under local administration, or under any trust. In the sense, they have been recognized as the monuments or the built heritage of importance or significance. So now, if I talk about a similar example, a temple in your locality, 150 years old, under the charge of Archaeological Survey of India, that is ASI. So it will automatically become a built heritage. But at the other point, the unprotected, because that is a protected monument. So any monument which is under any of these organizations look after becomes the protected monument, which will automatically become the built heritage. Now, next, second is unprotected monument. When we talk about unprotected monument, any monument which does not come under any kind of ownership, no ASI, no state archaeology, no private trust, nothing. It is ruined, it is still intact, but there is nobody to look after. Now that is where we call it as an unprotected monument. And that is why unfortunately in our country we have in number of unprotected monuments which have not yet been seen, which has not yet been looked after. And number of times you might cross by, but you cannot recognize them. Number of time you must have gone there, but you cannot cherish it, because of the reason we do not find it as a monument or as a built heritage. It is, since it is not recognized by any authority or by any organization. So here, as a citizen, I feel that our responsibility is to understand the artistic value attached to such kind of buildings, also understand the beliefs, the significant value attached to such kind of buildings, and then try to promote it, try to get it adopted by any of the trust, any of the organization who are playing a bigger role in that particular city or in that particular state. So those particular monuments which are unprotected can also be kept intact or kept properly for a longer period of years to come. Now, on a very quicker note, the criteria for selection. The criteria for selection for any kind of building, as in built heritage, is basically it should have the, there should be some historic, socio-cultural value attached to it, artistic value attached to it, or it should be of national importance. As else, the third important thing is anything which has the cultural importance, historical importance, associated economic and commercial importance. Anything, these are the values which should be there as in criteria, apart from declaring it the heritage monument. 150 years of age is one of the another criteria which is very important for any monument to be declared as heritage monument. And these are few pictures of nature, your heritage, tangible heritage. I really do not know whether you guys can unmute yourself right now or not, but yes, I'll just speak up. The Sanchi Stupa, the first picture, The second picture is your Mamlapuram, the Krishna water ball. The third picture is your Humayun's tomb in Delhi, and the fourth picture is Rashtrapati Bhavan. All these are the heritage monuments. All these are the tangible heritage of our country. Then art, and the next form of tangible heritage is art and material heritage. As I said, we have a number of manuscripts, textile, books, photographs, paintings, artifacts, art objects, which have the historical value, but we foresee or we overlook these particular objects as an heritage property or as an heritage of our country. So anything which is related to any kind of art and material heritage is your heritage too. Generally, we find them all in museums, but many we can find at our home also. Maybe once you will look down today, it is a request for those who actually paid attention and interest in this particular session. Go back to your grandparents, if you have, go back to your parents and try to find out, do you have something really old at your home, which can be an object also, which can be a book also, which can be a photograph also. So do you have something really old at your home? If yes, then that is your heritage that you need to really kept as good as possible. And if you find something, do share the pictures with me. I would love to put on my page your pictures with your own heritage. Criteria for selecting the material heritage, that is aesthetic value, architectural value, functional value, cultural value, and economic and commercial value. Now, these are few paintings, very important paintings from the national significance, which are our heritage, but we forget to really, take them as an heritage. The first painting is from the Ajanta caves, the wall painting on Ajanta caves, which we forget to cherish. We cherish Ajanta caves. We speak about Ajanta Ellora, but we never speak about the beautiful paintings inside the Ajanta and Ellora. The second is from Pattachitra from Odisha, a very renowned and a very important painting, Pattachitra paintings from Odisha. The third is your Thanka painting from Northeast region. The fourth is your Gemini Rao painting. Gemini Rao was a very famous artist who used to paint a mother and a child relation. This is a very important painting in our Indian history, which many of us actually doesn't knew it. Then the fourth is the miniature painting, the Radha Krishna, the miniature painting, which can be seen many a times by all of us somewhere or other, but we fail to recognize. The next painting is again your Pattachitra painting. Then you have this Gemini Rao painting, and then here Mother India poster. Mother India poster, which was painted on the initially we never used to have these this electric boards or electric this flex system. So this Mother India 1957 around, this was painted by the painter on the cloth, and it was this particular cloth painting was actually used for promotion of the movie. So this has also become a heritage now, which sometimes we feel why, but yes, this has a recognized value, because the Indian cinema changed right from the day Mother India was released, and this was the most loved movie, and still it is. So this is again one of the heritage. So all these form, this is just an example. Your city, your state, your region must also be having some or other form of painting, which is not popular as Thanka painting or Pattachitra painting, but it is the heritage of your city, or it is the heritage of your region, which we forget, like Varni paintings from Maharashtra tribes, like Gond painting from Gondwana tribes. Then you have Madhubani painting from Bihar or from Mithila tribes, or you have Chitera painting from Chitera tribes or Chitera community. Then there are in number of paintings, which is like Tanjore painting is there. So Fad painting is there. a number of paintings are there which are actually very important. Pichwai painting, which is there in Rajasthan, but we forget to understand that yes, these are our valuable heritage which we need to cherish. At least you, if you cannot paint, you can have one copy of it, at least at your home, in your drawing room or somewhere. You can cherish it, you can really see it, look it, and have value to it. Now, the on a very faster note, these are the manuscripts of the yester years, which were shown in these pictures, which are again our material heritage. These are the again material heritage. You could see the ivory work, the brass work, the natraj, the mirror work, everything, the silver work, everything from different states of our country, who which are part of our heritage. Now, fast living heritage. Living heritage is anything like the practices, the associated with the cuisine, the rituals, the ceremonies, your language, your customs, your craft, your performing art, everything. The Kutputli game at Rajasthan is our living heritage. Your Rangoli, putting up Rangoli at your doorstep, is your living heritage. So there, everything is your living heritage. The only thing is we forget to understand this. These all are pictures of living heritage, the Chow dance, the Kathakali, the Northeastern tribes dance. Now this is Kalbelia, everything. These all are the living heritage which we have in our country. Now, the Constitution of India, as per the Constitution of India, there is an Article 49 which talks about the heritage conservation. It says that the protection of monuments and places an object of national importance under the directive principles of state policy. So this is it says that even our parliament, even our constitution says that the heritage has the right to be protected. It is the responsibility of every single citizen of India to protect the heritage and culture of our country. And these are the fundamental duties of every citizen of India. That is, Article 51, Section AF says that to value and preserve the rich heritage of our culture. Then the 51AG says to protect and improve the natural environment, including forests, lakes, rivers, wildlife, etc. And the 51A1I says to safeguard the public property and to adjure the violence. Now, I just want to, I showed these constitution for the reason that you as a citizen of India, you as a responsible tourism professional, you as a responsible tourism trainee should start cherishing it, should start safeguarding it, should start protecting it. You might not have interest in it, but at least do not forget to cherish it. Do not forget to see the beauty of it, and try to protect it, try to preserve it. It is valuable, and believe me, the day you will enter the tourism industry, these are going to be your tourism products. These are going to be your products to be sold out. So if you do not value them, they will not value you once you start your career. So it is right time to start with, choose any of your area, the architectural side, the cultural side, the art and craft side, the living heritage sites, and start protecting it. You even once you choose your area, you can move ahead in the same manner in a tourism line too. So it can give you a very good career also. You can even become conservators, preservers, you can even become museum curators. So there are a number of job opportunities also which lies with this particular topic called heritage understanding. So it is just not the topic, but it can even lead you to many more things in your life. Now, this is the last, your relationship with heritage. It's the you as a citizen. Now you identify, now moving ahead, you provide a cultural and historical dimensions to all these heritages. You identify your rights and responsibilities. In turns, what happens is you gives an identity to these heritage objects, whether intangible or tangible heritage. The moment you give an identity to it, the moment you understand it, the moment you start loving it, they will be all flourished, promoted, and understood well. So this is why I say that there should be a relationship between every citizen and its heritage. I, as a citizen of India, specifically I as a a resident of Gwalior, I cherish every single monument of Gwalior, whether it is protected or unprotected. I had completed my research work in Chambal region only. for the reason that, yes, I cherish this region. Maybe not, well promoted as Qutub Complex or as Agra ka Taj Mahal or as Khajuraho group of monuments. But for me, it is more than Agra ka Taj Mahal and Khajuraho group of monuments. I've done intense research. I have found that there are more unprotected monument than protected monument in this particular Chambal division. I had written down a book during the lockdown on the cultural heritage resources of India only, which implies every state has in number of culture and heritage resources. And one, you can find that book on Amazon also. The book speaks about every state and UT. Not even single state and UT has been left over. Every state's cultural resource, that is cultural beauty and heritage beauty, tangible or intangible, is there in that book. You will find the attire, the cuisine, the dance, the folklore, the everything in that particular book. So my first book, I always wanted to be on Chambal region, but unfortunately the work which I was doing on the second book came first. So very soon the Chambal will come out, the story of Chambal region will come out. But that happened just because I understand that as a citizen, it is my responsibility to take care of my heritage. Similarly, I request all of you to start, keeping care of your heritage, of your nearby areas, of your nearby heritage. Thank you. The session is open for the questions. Ranu ma'am, 8 minutes are there still.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, we can have questions.
Questions will be in chat box,
We
or
have
they?
started. We have, dear students, the chat box is open. Believing the chat box is open, if somebody can check. Swapnil, if you are here, if you can check if the chat box is, yes, it is open. Ma'am, questions are start हो रहे हैं.
Of writing down, I'll just speak up because writing will take time. Just a second. Book is available in the library. Yes, it is very well. There are few copies available in the library. The name of the book is Cultural and Heritage Resources of India. It is available in Amazon also, and if you want, I can share the link maybe in the group. But Cultural and Heritage Resources of India, the book, once you see Dr. Kamakshi Maheshwari, authored by, you will find it in Amazon. One sec. Thank you for the heritage session. Okay. Thank you. You were so good, ma'am. No doubt. So that's wonderful to know. The name of the book I've already shared to you guys. Kinds of heritage. Okay, I'll do that. Just give me a second. Kinds of heritage. When we say kinds of heritage, broadly, we have two kinds of heritage. That is your natural heritage and cultural heritage. The natural is what all your natural things comes in. That is your landscapes, your mountains, your valleys, your flora, fauna, lakes, rivers, everything. When we come into cultural side, cultural has tangible and intangible. Now, when it comes to tangible heritage is where we talk about our architecture, we talk about our buildings, and we talk about the material objects which we can see, which, like for example, manuscripts, old photographs, books, old art and artifacts. The intangible side of heritage is your is your dances, music, cuisine, attire, everything which you can see, you can feel, you can do. So broadly, this is what is classification of heritage. There is one thing which I have added up. In case of your architectural heritage, you have two kinds. Again, it is divided into two parts. The one is protected heritage, and the another one is unprotected heritage. Protected heritage is all those which comes under the ownership and possession of either the state archaeological survey of state archaeology survey, archaeological survey of India, or the state archaeology, or any other trust. Unprotected are those who does not come under any kind of ownership. They are publicly owned. So this is the broader classification of heritage. Example of intangible, I think you got it now. The dances, the theaters, the puppetry, the cuisine, everything. The Holi ki gujia, Diwali ka mathri, rangoli, everything's come under your intangible heritage. Name of the book, I'm repeating it, Cultural and Heritage Resources of India. I can show you the cover, just give me 2 minutes. मैं आपको book का pic दिखा देती हूँ so that you can easily find it out. Cultural heritage, do you want me to go ahead with cultural heritage again? Heritage monuments of South India. South India is full of heritage. Your Mamlapuram, your Meenakshi temple, your the palaces of Uti, Kodaikanal, all these places are full of heritage. But in your South India, you will find the biggest is your Tirumala Tirupati temple. In South India, you will find more of temple architecture, more of Dravidian form of architecture, more of temples. Southern India did not have forts. That is one thing which we really need to understand. You will find very less number of fort. You will find very less number of castles and fortresses. You will find museums. You will find temple architecture, such kind of gopurams. You will find such kind of architecture when it comes to Southern India. If my home was used for transportation of slaves in medieval times, will it still be called heritage sites? If yes, if your Maitri, if it is, then yes, it will be called a heritage site. Tangible, I'll describe it again. Okay, DPSP, I'll do that again. Just give me a time, a minute. Articles, I'll show you once again. Just give me 2 minutes. मैं एक बार chat box देख लूं, and then I'll show you the articles. Yes, Maharashtra does have the biggest heritage. Maharashtra, I mean, all states of our country are full of heritages. We should really, understand that particular point. What kind of jobs are there in heritage sectors? Well, when I talk about the kind of jobs, the heritage interpreter, the heritage consultant, conservator, preserver, museum curator, material art conservator. I mean, there are a number of jobs, and the heritage walk leaders. There is one thing, even if you become a travel agent, or even if you join a tour as in tour operators, what you can do is, if you want to work in heritage side of it, you can choose your area of heritage. You can promote that particular heritage tours. So it is not so that it is only the heritage field. You can take up the tourism field, the travel agent, the tour operator field, and then can become the heritage export tours and traveling consultants. So it is not only to that particular field only. You can just combine it. How can we as a youth, just give me a second, how can we, you as a youth, make the unaware people aware about rich culture and heritage that India holds? You as a youth, then in that case, if you are fond of writing, then start writing small articles and blogs about the unprotected monuments of nearby areas, or what you know. Even you can write for protected also, but when you write for protected monuments, keep in mind there should be something which people does not know. You know it, but people does not know. Start taking the walks. Start taking people on walks in your area. Like, I take a lot of heritage walks. It's like, since now, since 13 years of age, I was associated with an organization called INTAC, Indian National Trust for Art and Cultural Heritage. Right now, I'm governing council member of that particular body. I had this interest, so I started doing it. I attended number of walks. Now I take heritage walks. I have done the pottery walk. I have done the tangible walk. I have done the painting colony. That is, Chitera Oli is a painting colony in Gwalior. So the Chitera Oli walk. I've done the music walk to the to the Sarodghar Museum. So it's heritage is not limited. Food walk to the oldest shops of the Gwalior, where the food is made. If people are from Gwalior, they'll actually relate to me. I've taken it to SS Kachori Walas and to the Bahadura Ka Laddu. So there is a lot of things you can do when it comes to heritage. Start promoting by yourself. First, start understanding it and then start promoting it. Then I'm sure the people will understand it. Lakshadweep, yes, it is a heritage site. People go to Andaman Islands and Lakshadweep Island for cherishing that heritage only. TTM is heritage for us. I'm sure this Gwalior Sun Temple is not a heritage. Aryaman from BBA. Yes, this is where I really want to clear you. Gwalior Sun Temple is not an heritage. It is a replica of the Sun Temple of Konark. It has been, here it was constructed by the Birlas, but it is not a heritage yet because Gwalior Sun Temple still does not come into the category of 150 years old monument or a structure. It is a modern architecture. It is a modern replica of the Sun Temple. So we really do not call it as an heritage. Konark, yes, Sun Temple, Konark. So that is one question was there. You guys wanted to see the rights. Ranu, is there still the time left?
Ma'am, we are the time is over. And if you wish, if you want, you can continue for 1 more minute, ma'am. The time is over. We have
just give me 2 minutes. I'll just show them the book cover page so that if anybody wants to read it, they can just take it from live.
Shikhar, I've shared the next class link in the WhatsApp group. Please check there. Attendance again. Most of the people here are seeking for attendance. Here is the attendance link.
Unfortunately, they sit in the classes for attendance, and once they finish the MBAs and BBAs, then they understand how good it was sitting in the class. So this is the book which you will find in the Amazon as well as in library. This is the book. Sorry. So this has the details of all UTs as well as the state. Now I'll just show the index here, content here. It deals with all the it deals with all the states and UTs of your country. So thank you very much once again. As far as articles are concerned, I'll share it again. Article wala's PPT jo hai, if Ranu ma'am allows me, then I'll share that article PPT in their group if Ranu ma'am allows me.
Yes, ma'am, you can.
Okay, I'm writing down the name of the book is like somebody had asked, and then I'll just end up with my session.
For Goa session, for Goa, there is somebody who's saying that Goa ke WhatsApp group pe it is not there. Fine. Shikhar, if you have my number, if you can ping me, I'll revert to you on WhatsApp. Shikhar Dev, if you can please revert, if you can ping me on WhatsApp, I'll revert you there.
Okay. So I've written down the name of the book here, and in Gwalior Library, we have the copies. So if they are sending they are releasing the book, then you can go ahead, but not in any other library. In other library, we do not have the copy. Gwalior Library has the copy. Thank you very much once again. For any query, you can ask me. My number is there. You can take out the number. You guys can ask me. It was nice talking to you guys. Thank you very much. I'm sorry for all.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ranu ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Students, yes, the next session is from 3 p.m. Noida Center has also not shared the link. I'll request the nodal officers of the other centers to share the link with you people. Thank you so much,
Ranu, can I leave? Ranu ma'am, can I leave?
Please leave. Even all the students can leave. Let's meet at 3 p.m. I'll ask the nodal officers to share the link, please. Thank you so much.